Hey everyone, I'm going to work through a couple of problems that you would come across on the SAT calculator math section. These are going to be a little bit tougher problems. One of them is a multiple choice and the other one is a grid-in question. So let's get to work. For the first one, if the radius of the circle above is x, angle AOB is 120 degrees, and O is the center of the circle, what is the length of chord AB in terms of x? Okay, so we want to start by labeling all of the information that they gave us. So they told us that this angle right here is 120 degrees, and also that the radius of the circle is x. So that's going to be OA or OB, either one. If we were to take this bigger triangle here and divide it into two smaller triangles, that would cut it into two right triangles, specifically two 30, 60, 90 triangles, because this 120 degree angle has been cut in half. Now 30, 60, 90 triangles are always going to have a specific proportion to their sides, and this is a proportion that you'll need to memorize along with 45, 45, 90 triangles. The side that's across from the 30 degree angle is our smallest side, so we'll just say that's A. The one across from the 60 degree angle is going to be A times the square root of 3. And then the one across from the 90 degree angle, our hypotenuse, is going to be 2 times A. So in this triangle, our hypotenuse right here is the 2A. The one across from the 30 is our A. The one across from the 60 is our A root 3. Now, they didn't give us any numbers to work with, which is fine. We can make up our own as long as we stay consistent with those same numbers throughout the whole problem. So if we want to start out by saying that our hypotenuse is 4, so x equals 4, which means that the side across from the 30 degree angle has to be 2. So that's our A. Because if 4 is our 2A, then obviously you're just going to take half of that to get A. Now, if we know that this side is 2, that means that this side has to be 2 times the square root of 3. What they wanted us to solve for all along was this chord, AB, which we now have half of as 2 root 3. So in order to get the entire thing, we're just going to multiply by 2. Distribute that, and we end up with 4 times the square root of 3. So that is the length of chord AB. However, if you look at the answer choices, they didn't put 4 root 3, which makes sense though because we made up our own numbers. So we just have to go back and put that in terms of x. Now if we know that x is equal to 4, then we can just replace that 4 with an x and say x times the square root of 3. And in their terms, they just flipped the x and the root 3 and wrote it this way, which is also fine. So our answer would be B. Okay, so for number 2, in the figure above, AB is the arc of the circle with center O. Point A lies on the graph of y equals x squared minus b, where b is a constant. If the area of the shaded region AOB is pi, then what is the value of b? Now this one can be confusing because first of all, they're giving us two different b's to work with. So make sure you differentiate in your head which one they're actually wanting us to solve for. So they want the b that's in the parabola's equation, not that b. So they want the one that's down here. To be able to solve for that b, we're going to have to find a point that falls on the parabola that we can plug in for x and for y to work backwards and solve for the b. Looking at the graph, we can see that point A falls on the parabola, so we need to find a way to figure out the coordinate of point A. Now they told us that the area of this shaded region right here is pi, and that shaded region is 1/4 of a full circle if we were to draw it in, and that's terrible, but you get the point. We know that it's 1/4 because it's at a 90 degree angle right here, and 90 out of 360 is 1/4. What that tells us is that the area of the entire circle has to be 4 pi. because we take that original pi and multiply it by 4 to get the whole thing. Now, if we know what the area of the entire circle is, then we can plug that in to the area formula, which we know is pi r squared, plug the 4 pi in for a, and that will allow us to solve for our radius. So we can divide by pi, that cancels. So 4 equals r squared, which means that our radius has to be 2. What that tells us is that point A, since it falls at the end of the radius, has to be at a coordinate of -2, 0. Now we can take that point, since it falls on our parabola, and plug those coordinates in for x and for y. So we know that y equals x squared minus b. We know our y is 0. Our x is -2. And the b is what we're solving for. So that tells us that 0 equals 4 minus b. Add the b to the other side, and b equals 4. And that would be the answer that we would want to grid in. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like more information about my company or the services or products that I offer, you can visit www.bettercollegeprep.com and be on the lookout for all of my future videos that I'll be posting soon. Thanks.